Chapter 7. Work with Thoughts. Thoughts in our given order belong to the element of air. The element of air is right beneath ether. Since ether corresponds to the universal quantum field, it consists of all the hidden potentials for existence, all the dimensions, and all the realities. This means that thoughts are the information field that is the closest, in all aspects, to the quantum field of all the potential possibilities. To sum up, it is as if thoughts emanate from the quantum field, the ether. What is actually going on there? What do thoughts do? Quite simply, when one frequency is shaped from the universal quantum field, and they get shaped constantly in a multitude of ways, there is nothing else they do. It becomes information. It becomes an idea or a thought. An idea becomes an idea when it is recognized as such in its content and sense with the full awareness, and then its essence is revealed as energy first, which becomes will, the element of fire. This way, thoughts become intentions for further shaping and action. In order to become concrete, they must descend to a more consistent form, to some image that reflects a design or an idea. When information or thought joins forces with energy, we get feelings. The element of water, which represents the astral world or the world of imagination, is the world where our dreams take place. It is the world we go to when we are experiencing astral projection, but it is also the world that, for the first time, gives visible shape to our thoughts, an image that may materialize on the physical plane in the element of earth or as our physical reality. Therefore, this entire process starts from the very vibrations of the quantum field, ether, and from the energy that becomes information, which consciously recognizes itself as energy and becomes an idea or a thought, air. United with energy, that is, recognized as energy, the thought becomes will or intention, fire. When information joins with energy, it becomes intention, and we know that energy is filled with feelings. It can morph into this only if it takes on some shape or content, water, colored with the deepest feelings. Accordingly, the thoughts are the most original information with which the movement of energy of the quantum field is manifested in shaping our physical reality. We select one physical reality with our thoughts that will later be realized. Everything is already there in the universal quantum field of all the potential possibilities. Man's mind is nothing but a trigger that activates a specific reality. This is the reason why thoughts have the biggest creative power. They are the starting point of everything. Still, this would be the description of an ideal state. The problem is that our thoughts are not always conscious and pure. We do not understand their nature, and that is why they are mixed with the astral content of our subconsciousness, water, and the basic will or intent, fire, that supersedes our alert mind, which we only use when we function in reality in the physical body, earth. It is all very mixed up, and this confusion constitutes our everyday lives. Thoughts affect the body affects the thoughts, will affects the thoughts and the thoughts affect the will, whereas feelings and emotions interconnect all of that into a psychotic reality of modern living. Spontaneous, unconscious interference of all of these influences and levels is the key reason for our not being the masters of our thoughts, our will and energy, our feelings, or for that matter, our entire being. Since we are not the masters of our being, we are neither the masters of our lives or the environment. That is because our being and our environment are one and the same in this holographic universe. The first step toward their awakening is their distinction and comprehension of all the levels and the dimensions where all the information of the universal quantum field is manifested through all four elements. In other words, in the wholeness of our being. Therefore, working with thoughts can be reduced to comprehending what they are. They are ideas and contents, the very thing that points in the direction of meaning. Thus, working with thoughts boils down to comprehension by making sense of the thoughts themselves and where they originate from. Understanding thoughts is possible only by understanding the consciousness that is aware of them by enhancing our self-conscious. The more we are aware of ourselves, the more we can be objectively aware of our own thoughts. Our self-consciousness is always more extensive than all the contents of all the thoughts. It is essential for understanding the thoughts and reaching the self-consciousness in which the thoughts themselves are objects, just like everything else in nature, the most refined objects at that. Thoughts are the activity of nature on its finest, most informative level. Thoughts are nature in the form of information. Everything we see externally as the manifested form of nature is at the same time information in our minds, a thought. We are the tetragrammaton. We, with our multi-dimensional being, enable the shape and content, the activity and the meaning, the inner and the outer, to connect in us. This merging is possible only because we split them at the same time. By means of thoughts, nature identifies and constitutes itself. Not a single thought is ours. We are just a convenient place where the thought information of the existence itself compresses, intersects, and reaches the point of self-awareness. We are the consciousness that witnesses our thoughts, that understands their meaning, and because of that, we may change and direct their meaning and realization. We can be objectively aware of thoughts only because our consciousness enables the existence of the quantum field, from which all the information, i.e. the thought vibrations, emanates. This field is identified as ether, and in the Eastern esoteric tradition, it is also known as akasha. This word also means space. Space enables any form of existence, from the finest to the coarsest. In the same fashion, consciousness can be aware of absolutely everything, from the finest to the coarsest. Therefore, the original consciousness is compatible with the space that enables everything else. This space, this ether, this akasha, this quantum field of all potential possibilities, is not some abstract microcosm. It is this space we live in here and now, the cosmic space we share with the whole planet Earth. This entire space has contracted itself in our being, so that through the process of tetragrammaton, all the existing dimensions can emanate themselves in all their possibilities and come to the full awareness of themselves. Yet another aspect of thoughts should be known. They are identical to the way in which the entire existence communicates. The entire existence is woven into one giant information field, and everything communicates with everything momentarily. It has been discovered that our genes communicate among themselves momentarily, independently of time and space, using the same linguistic rules our everyday language and speech are based on. It is logical that our language is based on the communication principles of the entirety of nature. That explains how and why our thoughts, mental patterns, prayers, curses, and very words function. We can heal with words and thoughts, and we can change the functioning of our body with them because our thoughts and words communicate directly with our genes, which use the same linguistic rules. We can have an impact and change our environment. This proves that mind patterns are not innocuous at all. They are the most powerful thing in the physical universe. Thoughts are the most refined modification of the quantum energy in this emergent cosmos, the type of energy that enables the cosmos itself. They are the starting point of everything. In the beginning was the Word. John 1:1. When we learn to apply this consciously and creatively, we have learned the art of creating phenomena. To simplify the act of working with thoughts, it can be reduced to introducing awareness into the way we think and the things we imagine. It will eventually determine everything else in our lives. Hence, let's start doing it consciously. This brings forth a new culture to our thinking. Just because thoughts shift momentarily, we are tricked into thinking that this will have no real consequences for us. Thoughts are of little importance only if they remain in their element, the air, as sheer ideas, if they never manage to connect to all the other elements, will, imagination, and physical deeds. The freedom of the momentariness of thoughts makes it possible to design anything and everything from all the aspects and options. However, the essence of the wholeness of the existence is momentary, oscillatory action, and therefore our thoughts are on the same wavelength with the essence of existence. This brings us to the obvious notion that we must be responsible for our thoughts. Acquiring responsibility in this area is the essence of working with thoughts. All the unfavorable conditions in our lives were designed in the same manner with our thoughts, albeit subconsciously. We consciously design all favorable conditions in our lives. Awareness is the only difference between good and evil in human existence. Our work with thoughts in the implementation of the law of attraction lies in the fact that we must carefully design the best option of reality we wish to create. It will be in the present time as though it were already here. We should disconnect from our environment and our activities on a daily basis as often as possible and create a mental image in our mind's eye repeatedly for at least a few minutes. We shall see in the following chapters that this should be accompanied by emotions and imagination, thoughts and time. There is yet another important detail we must reconsider carefully about thoughts, time. In the quantum field, there is no time because in it, everything already is, and nothing should become. When a vibration is generated from it, a thought, it must exist separately because it is unique. This way it renders the illusion of linear time, as long as we think that for us, there is something before, the origin of this thought, and something after. For every conscious subject, something is within reach, and something is very far away. This is the nature of the three-dimensional world we live in. But at the base of everything, everything already is, and nothing becomes new, which means there is no time. This means that the fundamental reality that makes everything possible is timelessly here and now, that there is no past and no future. This leads us to the elementary rule of the law of attraction. In order to act from the level of true reality that enables everything, when we create a certain reality in our thoughts, we must create it independently of time and space, which means it should never be done in the undesired past or the desired future, but always in the present, as though it had already manifested itself as the reality for us. It practically means that when we mentally define a desired reality in the shortest and clearest way, as a formula, it must be expressed in the present tense as the description of the present reality, although the old reality still lives on. This is the essence of our work, to supersede, albeit briefly, the current reality, and to create the desired state in thoughts as though it were actually here. We don't create a new reality, we just swap it for a different one. A real problem may arise as to how to cross over from one reality to a different one. For as long as we have a grip on one, we cannot enter another. The subtlest way of sticking to one reality is our repulsion toward it. For as long as we detest our old reality, we are bound to be attached to it, and we will find it hard to get rid of. That is why we should never fall into the trap of creating a new desirable reality as a reaction against the old, undesirable one. Hostility toward the already existing reality is a clear indication we still have strong ties to it. Repulsion toward the old reality and every form of attachment to it can only be overcome by comprehending the fact that we are the sole creators of any reality that hits us. Unfavorable realities unconsciously, favorable ones consciously, by understanding the momentary nature of the parallel realities and the role consciousness plays in all of it. To summarize, we lose the old reality and create the new one in the same way, by understanding how any reality originates and by grasping the role of consciousness in them. The crucial problem is, therefore, how to free oneself from one's ties and identification with the existing reality, and not how to cross over to another. The transition happens automatically when we cease to identify ourselves with our current one. It is only mental patterns that keep us linked to the existing reality, as well as the attitudes and paradigms, and only the ones that exclude higher consciousness of the parallel realities. Nothing is needed, but we know how strong they can be. They are the only ones that create our reality. They are the only obstacle to changing our reality. Working with thoughts means that we create new mental patterns that correspond to our new reality and shift in that direction, only temporarily and only mentally. This will not be a short-lived fantasy. The desired state and the new reality are here but only in our thoughts, and only in the element of air. In order for this state to materialize, we must download it from the element of air, from the world of ideas and thoughts, down to the lower dimensions, the lower elements, all the way to the earth. We must connect it with energy, emotions, and imagination.